Sup folks, this is Dan from Discern, and these are my thoughts on the new EP from the Eagle and Child, Oh Christmas. The Eagle and Child is a four-piece alternative and indie rock band from San Diego, California, led by frontman Brad Davis. This group released their debut album in 2013, but this group has a lot more to their musical history than just the past few years. The Eagle and Child is comprised of past members of Something Like Silas and Future of Forestry, which are both musical acts that have come out of San Diego, and the band Revolver, which Brad was in, also a band from San Diego. These guys have been playing music in these groups since the early 2000s, so when they came together as the Eagle and Child, they came together with a whole lot of combined musical experience. Earlier this year, they released their sophomore record, All Moments, the first record of theirs to feature all original songs from the band. This year, they also teamed up with Gospel Song Records, known for their connections with King's Kaleidoscope, Citizens and Saints, numerous others, and have now released this EP, Oh Christmas. It is not too common for a band to release a full-length album at the beginning of the year and an EP at the end of the year, but these guys managed to pull it off. Partly, I'm guessing here, because I don't think any of these songs are new to this band, new this year, written fresh for this EP. Firstly, of course, they're renditions of well-known Christmas hymns and songs, but secondly, more importantly, this band has been a part of a Christmas concert of sorts at Flood Church in San Diego for a number of years now. And you can find recordings, actually, of these concerts in their entirety online. I will put a link to the 2015 one below in the description box. From listening to these, you can see that these Christmas songs that appear on this EP weren't written this year for this EP. They were more or less put to tape this year. They were written at least a few years ago, but whatever. It doesn't make any difference to make them better or worse. It's just sort of the context in which this EP finds itself. This little EP really dives into a folk rock sound, more so than their previous records. Sure, there's still the alternative and indie rock staples from the electric guitars and the bass and the drums, but there's stomping and shouting acoustic rock vibe that carries through some of these tracks. Probably the best example is actually the very first track, Once in Royal David City. This track features many musicians, many instruments, and many different sounds. Large marching bass drums, assorted jingly percussive toys of all sorts, plus trumpet, trombone, and even a little saxophone. The song is really jubilant and carefree in both big, full moments where all the instruments are in, and in small moments like where the instruments drop out. The vocals sing a cappella, just backed by a chorus of claps and assorted percussion. The second track, Do You Hear What I Hear, is the most modern track to be covered on this EP. I think this song is from the 60s, but still more modern than the others. This track starts to showcase the wide dynamic spectrum that this group utilizes. Toward the beginning of the song, there's just a clean-toned guitar, sort of a collection of rim clicks to keep the rhythm, and a couple vocalists. But suddenly, as one of the verses, transitions into like the instrumental interlude, the song bursts open with a big crash, distorted and wailing guitar, and a thunderous wall of drums. I mean, we're talking floor toms, bass drums, even rototoms. I mean, anything and everything percussive and deep. And the song really seems to just have two settings, big and small, not really anywhere in between. And you see this creatively on display, most prominently in one of the verses where they alternate very abruptly between a cappella vocals with all the instruments out to full blast, all the instruments in, then back to a cappella with everything out, and then back to it all in. Very pronounced, dynamic contrasts in that part. The third track, O Little Town of Bethlehem, the longest track on the EP, coming in at almost 8.5 minutes, is another deeply dynamic track with a good amount of the track having a calming, quiet, and gentle feeling, fitting for that little town of Bethlehem. There's a serene guitar lead, a gentle atmosphere that just goes round and round, lingering with droning and calming repetition. There's a simple and stark electronic drum beat that's about all the rhythm you've got going on. The mood just settles in really nicely, really gets kind of stuck in your head. But about halfway through the song, a forceful, bold, and almost unnerving instrumental shakes things up. It darkens the skies, adds a very noisy and brash mood. And it doesn't last too long, and as it fades off, the gentle feel picks right back up, almost right where it left off. And toward the end of the song, the electric guitar lead line ratchets up the gain, the track swells, and it peaks with a big grand finale complete with strings and horns. And now the fourth track, Hark, the Herald Angels Sing, is probably the busiest and most involved track, just from the percussive aspect alone. I swear it sounds like everyone has got a pair of sticks for this song, especially in the intro. I mean, they are hitting on a cowbell. There's rim clicks, metallic pings as they're striking something, rumbling toms, snapping snare hits. I mean, it's all there, totally percussive. And this is also the most synth-packed song on the EP. The whole track has sort of a modernized 80s vibe, pretty popular sound these days. Warm, textured synth pads, a synth bass instead of a bass guitar, more rototoms actually, vocal ooze and harmonies saturated in reverb and smoothing effects. And the last track on the EP, Silent Night, features features nothing more, I should say, than an organic style synth, a few vocal parts, and a delicate piano that comes in only once just to softly play through the melody. That's really all there is to this one. It's a reflective and straightforward arrangement. No frills, no jingly bells, no goofing around with drums and percussion. It's a touching way, I think, to end the EP, slowly closing out the album with a song that, is traditionally used for peaceful and quiet endings like this. So, ending the album with a silent night metaphorically as well as literally. Overall, this EP brought out a sound I haven't heard from the Eagle and Child on past records. That's sort of this folk rock, acoustic-leaning feel. But it still carried that raw, unobstructed sound that they displayed so vividly on their debut album. I think these guys have captivating dynamics and just a palpable energy and electricity at times. They play so loose and so untamed that they're hard to ignore. When you think they're settling into a typical or expected pattern, they flip the tables over and dynamically blast off to another level. It's unexpected and organic messiness. That's what I like so much about this group. And I think they maintain that style pretty well here on this EP with a little alteration and variance in their sound. Here doing Christmas hymns and songs all in their own unique way. There is a link down in the description box for you to hear this EP for yourself. If you like what you hear, check out their older stuff too. I personally think their debut album is excellent. Some great covers of well-known Christian hymns and songs on that one. The wildest version of the solid rock I have ever heard. Just phenomenal. Also down in the description box, there is a link to the Eagle and Child's Twitter for those who are interested. And all right, folks, thank you so much for watching this album review. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe to the channel. New album reviews just like this release every Friday. Subscribing is the best way to make sure you don't miss any new reviews. If you have a question or a comment for me about this album, about my thoughts about this album, or about something else, you can comment below this video. You could tweet at me at discernreviews, or you could send me an email, discernreviews@gmail.com. Have you heard this album from the Eagle and Child? What do you think of their takes on these Christmas classics? Love them? Do you hate them? Good or bad? Let me know what you think. All right, thank you for being with me. I will see you next week. Thanks for watching this review. Hope this helps. See ya.